Number 10. Batman/Catwoman. In the future segment of 2020's Batman Catwoman, we see a gray-haired Selina Kyle driving up a sunny coast. Selina pulls up to a trailer park called Seabird Island where she heads into a trailer to meet with an old friend. And this old retiree is actually the Joker. The two discuss what happened with the Bat family and the Batman, who it's revealed passed away from cancer. This future Joker also seems to have made a family for himself, as weird as that is. He has pictures of his grandkids and talks about his son Nathan, with twin kids, as well as a daughter Bethany, who has 3 kids. After talking about Batman being gone, Joker gets emotional, saying it feels like the end of something. But with Batman gone, Selina reveals that she's come for Joker, finally, because Batman is no longer there to protect him. Which is a funny twist on things. Apparently Joker does something in Batman/Catwoman that leads to Batman and Catwoman being scarred for years afterwards. Selina has come to kill Joker at last, and Old Man Joker's response is seemingly a satisfied laugh. Classic. Number 9. Earth 2. Here, Joker is a wheelchair-bound old man in the future after all the main heroes had either passed away or retired. The Earth 2 Joker continued his personal battle against the original Batman successors, Robin and Huntress of this Earth. This Joker kept the war against Wayne going despite the fact that even most of the other villains have died of old age, like the Earth 2 Riddler and Two-Face. But it's hard to fight a war on your own from a wheelchair with failing health. So, he decided to recreate Two-Face by destroying the face of the current District Attorney of Gotham City, Harry Sims. Helena Wayne, Huntress, decided that the Joker just kinda had to go. So teaming up with Kara-El, Helena went out to directly take out the Joker at his base of operations. Joker attacked Helena with his Joy Buzzer, but it backfired against Kara-El's superhuman durability and electrocuted him instead. Technically, this Earth 2 Joker succeeded in getting the heroine to cross the line and kill him, even though she didn't really do it herself, and also she isn't Batman, so it's kind of a hollow victory for the villain. But hey, you did good, Grandpa Joker. Good job. Good. Number 8. Dark Knight Strikes Again. The Dark Knight Strikes Again is the long-awaited sequel to The Dark Knight Returns, and I'll be honest, Frank Miller's art and writing really kind of fell off for this one, just like a little bit. But it does give us a very strange and unique version of the Joker. The Joker in The Dark Knight Strikes Again is not the Joker we saw in The Dark Knight Returns. It's actually Dick Grayson, Batman's previous ward, who, it turns out, was fired by the Bats after he grew frustrated at the boy's ability or inability to do the job properly. I should also let you know that this Batman is kind of a huge jerk, just a little bit. Robin is heartbroken by Batman's rejection and he kind of loses it. He teams up with the likes of Lex Luthor to undergo radical gene therapy that would give him superpowers. The procedure steals the final portion of Grayson's remaining sanity though, sending him on a murder spree in order to track down and get revenge on his old mentor. You can't help but feel just a little bit bad for Dick Grayson. This time working for Bruce mentally scarred him almost as much as the genetic surgery did. Number 7. Last Night on Earth. In Batman Last Night on Earth by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, Batman, or actually a clone of Batman created by Batman's own resurrection machine, goes out into a post-apocalyptic world completely rocked thanks to Lex Luthor. One of the first things that this new Batman finds, funnily enough, is a lantern with the head of the Joker somehow still alive inside and speaking. Kind of like in God of War when Kratos gets the head of Mimir that he just carries around on his hip. Batman takes this Joker lantern as a companion, and this talkative Joker keeps the Dark Knight company as he works to find a way to dethrone Omega, who is a villain that rules over the apocalyptic world using Darkseid's Omega effect. This Joker is strangely friendly and compassionate, and he is honestly a great cheerleader for Batman, which I don't think any of us expected to see. What we really didn't expect to see is that this disembodied head is even given a robotic body to become Batman's new Robin. What? And number 6, Batman Digital Justice. Okay, so this one is a little bit different. More than a little bit different, actually. Batman Digital Justice is an alternate future story where the Joker exists as a sentient computer virus and has become the first digital dictator, quote unquote. The virus has access to several weaponized computers and vehicles and uses them to create chaos and havoc in the future Gotham City. He also kind of looks like he's a Nintendo 64 character, which is really entertaining. He has corrupted the Gotham City police who work with him against the new Batman. GCPD's James Gordon II, who found the Batsuit after Bruce Wayne left it for James's grandfather, the Commissioner Gordon. With the help of an Alfred droid and a Bruce Wayne computer program, this new Batman eventually defeats the Joker virus, but holy, this story is kinda weird. Just a little strange. Number 5. Nosferatu. In the cyberpunk/expressionistic future of the super creepy Batman Nosferatu, the Joker is responsible for the creation of Batman and not the other way around. This version of the Joker is called the Laughing Man, and he is an utterly terrifying skeleton-looking cyborg assassin created by Jeremiah Arkham to tell the future. The look of the comics are in general inspired from early German Impressionist cinema, including movies such as Nosferatu and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And both the Laughing Man and the Batman he ultimately faces really lean full force into those absolutely terrifying styles. The Laughing Man has a knack for telling people when they are going to die and then de-lifing them to make sure that his predictions are true, which is kind of a backwards way of doing that. And they aren't gentle slayings either, as we see him kill this universe's Dick Grayson by completely severing his head from his spine and just having a great time doing it too, which is terrifying. It's quite terrifying, but if Batman and Nosferatu are your thing, you're welcome, I guess. Number 4. Dark Judge. A crossover between DC Comics and 2000 AD, the creators of Judge Dredd, led to the creation of Dark Judge Joker. A character who lets us know what it would be like if the Joker and Judge Dredd had a baby. The answer is that it would be absolutely terrifying. As a Dark Judge, he gained large glam rock style armor, and his hair went white with a red streak to make him appropriately very cool. Joker is one of the 2 main antagonists in Die Laughing. The Joker finds a way to transport to Judge Dredd's Mega City 1, and he unleashes a quartet of Dark Judges. And he even gains some immortality, becomes a new Dark Judge, and gains some deadly new powers. Judge Anderson, a telepathic ally of the Judge Dredd, teleports to Batman for help and to learn about the Joker. Batman then travels back with her to Mega City 1 to foil the Joker's plans. But the Joker just gets bored of Mega City 1 and decides to return to Gotham City, losing his powers and being sent back to Arkham Asylum. He basically just kind of gave up. Number 3. Batman Beyond. In the distant future where Bruce Wayne is retired and training the new Batman, Terry McGinnis, we see a remnant of the Rogues and a new generation of the Justice League. Among the remnants of the Rogues of Batman is the Jokers, the seemingly only remains of the Joker and his ideals. Now, to everyone's surprise, the Joker makes his appearance and starts wreaking havoc in Gotham once again after decades of being presumed dead. It is later revealed that the Joker is actually Tim Drake, who was treated so badly he became the new Joker. Number 2. White Knight. While this isn't technically labeled as a future story, the alternate universe comic Batman White Knight seems to be set at a point where Batman just kinda loses his patience with Joker, which I feel like would take a long time, so future, yeah. As Batman gets frustrated by the Joker and force feeds him a handful of random pills, it somehow cures Joker of his mental illnesses. Suddenly sane, Jack Napier, who was the Joker, goes on to sue Gotham City Police Department for his treatment when he was the Joker. He goes on to full-on fight the corruption of the GCPD and Batman's vigilantism. Maybe in some not so great ways, but he is a legitimately reformed Joker who is trying to do the right thing, and he even goes up against a Harley Quinn who becomes the Neo-Joker, obsessed with the goal of bringing the Joker back into existence, whatever that may take. And number 1, Dark Knight Returns. In the alternate future of The Dark Knight Returns from 1986, the Joker has been in a catatonic state ever since Batman's retirement, but once the news breaks of the Dark Knight's return, he miraculously regains consciousness. He manipulates his psychiatrist into declaring him cured, he hires a publicist to book him on a late-night talk show, and then, on the show, he Joker toxins the whole crowd, which I believe was the inspiration for the talk show scene in the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. He then goes off on a spree of crime and de-lifings, drawing Batman out into the open. Batman pursues him into the Tunnel of Love at a carnival where he fractures the Joker's neck in a fit of rage, but cannot still bring himself to completely take down his enemy. The Joker does the deed for him though by twisting his fractured neck until it breaks completely, thus framing Batman as his killer. His body is soon found by the police before it bursts into flame, Batman having rigged the corpse to create a distraction. This is one of the best Batman stories, which automatically kinda calls for the best Joker. Kicking off the list at number 10, it's Tim Drake. This first Joker defeat comes in Detective Comics number 826. Kicking off the action in this story, Tim Drake, Robin, is on the run from some criminals, and barely keeping it together when a random car pulls up and offers him an escape. Taking the free help, Robin jumps on the opportunity only to find out the driver of the said car is the Joker himself, wearing a Santa hat. Joker hits him with some knockout gas, and when Tim comes back to, he's tied up and gagged in the passenger seat of the car with his utility belt tossed out the window. While going on this horrific joyride with the Joker where he took the lives of multiple people, Tim proved just how great of a Robin he'd become by completely taking the Joker off guard by quoting the Marx Brothers. Joker loves this, but then Tim starts purposely getting the facts of his quotes wrong, distracting the Joker, who tries to correct the young Robin while Tim gets his hand free and then socks Joker with a real good punch right across the jaw. He then grabs the rear view mirror and smacks the clown over the head with it, and then jumps in the back seat where he gets the upper hand on the Joker, taking his own gas and spraying it in the Joker's face. Joker goes flying out the car door and has to throw himself off of a bridge to avoid getting hit by a truck. He got a Robin once, but he ain't gonna get this one. Number 9. Tax evasion. In Detective Comics number 180, the clown prince of crime ends up inheriting $250 million from the recently deceased King Barlow. With all this money, the Joker decides to retire from crime and goes on a shopping spree. Understandably so. In an almost too real turn of events though, the Joker has to pay the IRS an inheritance tax of more than he actually has remaining, or he faces going to jail for tax evasion. Of all the things that the Joker has done, it's tax evasion that is truly what threatens him the most. And knowing the way the government comes after people who evade their taxes, that actually kind of makes sense. But what makes the whole thing so much worse for the Joker is that he learns that the money he inherited is all fake, and the whole thing was actually a prank from King Barlow. The Joker can either admit the money is counterfeit, which would cause him to become the laughingstock of the criminal underworld, or evade the government for life for the ruthless crime of tax evasion. Instead, the Joker chooses option number 3 and decides to try to steal some money, only for Batman to stop him and put him in Arkham Asylum yet again. Coming in at number 8, it's My Smile. The ongoing story behind Birds of Prey issue number 124 doesn't really matter too much, but basically the Joker has figured out where Barbara Gordon, aka Oracle, is based at, and he shows up with all the bravado you'd expect, trying to take her off the board, relying on their previous interactions to keep her afraid and mistake prone. He goes stalking through the halls of the clock tower, but Babs, she ain't afraid. She reveals herself and the Joker goes for his attack, throwing a knife, which she intercepts, catching it on one of her billy clubs. What she can't block are the bullets he then sends flying her way. But dodging bullets seems to be one of her many skills. Trying to get a better shot, he comes even closer, bringing him within her striking range, allowing her to disable his trusty blam blam. He gets one good smack on her before Oracle uses her other club to hit him in the mouth so hard her club actually cracks. But that wasn't the only thing that cracked. Babs had hit the Joker so hard that she broke almost all of his teeth and knocked out a good chunk of them as well, destroying one of the things that the Joker prizes most: his smile. In at number 7, Injustice. You knew this was going to be on the list. The Superman of the Injustice universe has pretty much the same history as the baseline Superman, but when the Joker kidnaps the pregnant Lois Lane, it lures Superman into a trap of fear gas. In his poisoned state, Superman hallucinates his true love as the villain Doomsday and instantly attacks, flying Lois and his unborn child into space, killing them both and inadvertently causing a nuclear bomb to destroy his city, Metropolis. After suddenly losing his city and loved ones in one go, Superman goes into an honestly understandable rage, bursting into the interrogation room where Batman is learning the true intentions of the Joker and plunges his super fist through the guy's chest. Following these events, Superman takes control of the Earth and rules it as a tyrant. Fortunately, Batman forms an insurgency to try and beat this corrupted Superman, eventually enlisting the aid of another Earth's Justice League, and I guess it's a big hullabaloo, but Joker got a hole through his chest, and that's the point. Number 6, Mad Love. The Batman story Mad Love tells the story of how the Joker manipulated Harleen Quinzel into becoming his almost equally insane boo, Harley Quinn. Eventually, over the course of the story, Harley decides that she's going to try and do her Bubby Boo proud by capturing the Dark Knight and putting an end to his long crime-fighting life. The funny thing is that Harley basically gets all the way there. Harley is meticulous over every detail and rechecks everything until Batman wakes up hanging upside down, dangling over a piranha-infested fish tank. This is when Batman pulls a trick out of his sleeve. First of all, he reveals the Joker's manipulation tactics to Harley, and that almost breaks the girl's heart. But then, he essentially tells Harley that unless Joker sees the deed himself, he would never believe that Harley could have done it. This gives Harley some grief, and so she calls up the Joker himself and informs him of the situation. This drives Joker mental, as he can't stand the thought of his girlfriend stealing his spotlight. So much so that he basically causes her to go crashing out a window, and he frees the Batman himself. In a moment of clarity, Joker realizes he could take this opportunity to take down the Batman, and I suppose he forgot that he just leveled the playing field for the Dark Knight, who quickly gets the upper hand, and it leads to the Joker's defeat. This was after the Batman admits to Joker that Harley got closer to beating him than the Joker ever has, and then adds a little extra slap in the face when he calls Joker puddin'. Number 5. Red Hood. If you haven't read 3 Jokers, please go do that. It's kind of treated as its own separate story apart from the DC universe, and whether that's true or not, it's up to personal preference, but it's a really good story. But that's not important. Essentially, it's revealed that instead of there being one person over the course of history who has been the Joker, there have actually been 3. The clown, the comedian, and the criminal. Each have been seen at different times and have been involved in some of the biggest moments in Batman history. The clown is the one first caught in the story, and he also happens to be the one who laid a crowbar-shaped beatdown on a young Jason Todd, Robin. With the help of Jason Todd and Batgirl, Batman tracks down the clown, and together they subdue him. Unfortunately, Batman has to run off to help out with the second Joker, leaving the clown in the hands of Babs and Jason Todd. That may have been a mistake. The Joker wastes no time getting to his tactic of driving people up the wall, using his attack on Todd to drive Red Hood to the point of no return, and Red Hood introduces Joker to the afterlife with a well-placed ball of lead through the Joker's cranium. Number 4. Joker War. Joker War has probably one of the coolest Joker versus Batman fights ever. By taking over Wayne Enterprises and exposing Batman's connections with the GCPD, Joker leaves Bruce without access to his vast wealth. This is part of what leads to Bruce assuming his Batman identity full time, as the Joker's masked goons do everything to break into his various Batcaves in order to gain control of his tech and sensitive information. And the Joker is more than successful, getting a prototype futuristic Batsuit and Jokerizing it. He also takes the corpse of the recently passed away Alfred Pennyworth and reanimates it with Joker Toxin. It's pretty messed up, and the climactic fight between Joker and Batman in Ace Chemicals is equally as intense. After going through an absolute slogfest against each other, Joker actually gains the upper hand, and just as he is about to do a number on Batman's face, Harley Quinn shows up out of nowhere, placing a shot right in the clown's right eye, which didn't kill him, which is weird. She then ties up Joker alongside a little bang bang boom boom device, and then straps one to herself and runs off, telling Batman that he has to pick which one of them he is going to save. Joker is pretty confident that Batman will have to save him, but then Batman, pretty confidently himself, waltzes past him and runs off to save Harley, leaving the Joker to be blown to smithereens. Number 3. Paralyzed. In the lead up to Joker War that we just talked about, Joker actually pays a visit to one member of the Bat family in particular. In Batgirl number 47, Barbara gets home and is chillaxing on the couch when she begins to realize that her things are ever so slightly out of place, alerting her to someone else's presence in the room. Like a ninja, she hurls a glass into the dark, smashing it into the Joker's grinning mug. After getting in more than a few good solid hits on the Joker, the criminal turns the tables by whipping out a small remote, pressing a button, and deactivating the implant in Barbara's spine that restored her ability to walk. The Joker reveals that his remote can apparently manipulate Barbara's body to move against her will. But even that doesn't faze Barbara too much. Instead, she starts to psychologically torment the Joker, using the fact that he is obsessed with the Dark Knight to manipulate him where she wants him. In a rather twisted turn of events, she ends up having the last laugh when she uses a sharp pipe to stab herself in the back, fully disabling the implant and Joker's hold on her. Then, she hurtles that same pipe into the Joker's spine, seemingly paralyzing him. Number 2. Nightwing. In Joker Last Laugh, Joker is locked up in the slab and was told he had a terminal brain tumor and only a limited amount of time left to live. But this was all just an attempt by those working at the penitentiary to cause the Joker to face the end of his own life and possibly come to terms with his own wrongdoings. They clearly don't understand the Joker though. Instead, the Joker decided to bring his crime to a whole other level so that he would go out in a blaze of glory. He essentially unleashed a special Joker toxin on a huge number of supervillains, turning them a bit more Joker-like. One of these villains was Killer Croc. The Bat family sprung into action, but the Robin at the time, Tim Drake, was captured by Croc, leaving only his torn costume. With the other Bat family members assuming the worst had happened to the younger crime fighter, the original Robin, Dick Grayson, Nightwing, went on the warpath. He tracked down the Joker and proceeded to lay an absolutely bloody beatdown on him. Even when Tim revealed himself and tried to stop Dick, Nightwing thought it was some kind of trick and carried on his punch fest until the Joker actually passed away. Batman himself had to step in and revive the Joker with CPR. I don't know how that works, but for a moment there, Nightwing actually beat the Joker into the afterlife. And finally, in at our number 1 spot, he stabs himself. For our number 1 spot, it only makes sense to talk about Joker's very first appearance and also his very first embarrassing defeat. In Batman Numero Uno, we are introduced to the Joker for the first time. The Joker has been the perpetrator of some pretty vicious crimes across Gotham, and the Batman ends up on the case. When the two first get into an altercation, the Joker actually gets the upper hand on Bruce, whacking him with a good haymaker and then a kick before pushing him off a bridge. It's not until a bit later, after the Joker has caused a whole whack more unfortunate deaths and even faced the Batman a few more times, even getting kicked in the face by the bored wonder himself, that the Joker makes a triumphant return. Sort of. After a whole altercation at a museum, the Joker is pursued by both Batman and his boy Wonder. In the final climactic battle, Bruce and Robin have Joker on the ropes until Joker pulls out a dagger, trying to bring the Batman down for good. Turns out, Batman is pretty quick. Who'd have thought? And he sidesteps, causing the Joker to accidentally plunge the dagger into his own chest. But as we are all pretty well aware of, this wasn't his true end. In fact, it was just his beginning.
Number 10 on our list, the Red Hood from Batman the Brave and the Bold. In the episode Deep Cover for Batman, this version of the Joker exists on Earth 23 and sports, well, a red hood. Although his face is mostly obscured, we do catch a glimpse of a few features that can basically confirm that the Joker is under the hood. His trademark grin, pale skin, and a bit of green hair show that this Joker is actually supporting Batman in the fight against evil. After fighting off some bad guys, Red Hood Joker actually thanks Batman and hopes he can return the favor. Sure enough, in the very next episode, Game Over for Owlman, they team up and defeat Owlman, who had previously impersonated Batman and ruined his reputation. This instance with the Red Hood proves that if Batman and the Joker could find a common enemy, they might be able to keep fighting crime together and maybe even bring the Joker out of his insanity. But we all know that this isn't always the case with the Joker, just in this list. Okay, 9th on our list goes to John Doe Joker from Batman the Telltale series. In this storyline, Batman is actually committed to Arkham Asylum after being drugged and influenced to attack Oswald Cobblepot. There, he runs into a couple pretty bad prison inmates who you can bet were imprisoned by Batman himself. So, who saves him from this encounter? A sympathetic, insecure version of Joker known as John Doe. What's cool about this Joker is that since he's appearing in a Telltale series, you get to control if this version of the Joker stays good or not. As we all know, most interpretations of the Joker show an outcast who feels slighted or abandoned in some way by society. So in this storyline, this Joker, although initially good, can go dark real fast if you choose to treat him poorly. If you choose to treat him like a friend and trust him throughout the game, he'll eventually help to take down the agency, putting his life on the line in the process. But if you choose to treat him like a tool to get what you need, he will pick up on it and start to adopt homicidal tendencies. Man, this dude is sensitive. 8th on our list is from a Batman Captain America crossover, where this version of the Joker teams up with Red Skull. I know, not very heroic yet, but just wait. In a page that has become something of a meme in comic book culture, the Joker is shown learning that Red Skull is actually, in fact, a Nazi. And when Red Skull tries to equate Nazism to Joker's own evil ways, the Joker actually says, "I may be a criminal lunatic, but I'm an American criminal lunatic." He then sprays Red Skull with some kind of green poof in an attempt to kill him. Later in the comic, the Joker actively seeks out to kill Red Skull, stating that he's actually planning on helping Batman put him in a cell for the rest of his life. So yeah, although this heroic version of Joker isn't necessarily an alternate version of the supervillain, he is an iteration of the Joker that draws a line in the sand on his own limits to what is too evil, even for the crazed clown prince himself. Okay, 7th on our list goes to the Joker's Wild Jokers. Yes, that's plural. For those of you who aren't already familiar with Tangent Comics' Joker's Wild, this storyline features a modern version of reporter Lori Lamaris, who fights crime with her 2 other Joker teammates, student Mary Marvel and entrepreneur Christy Xanadu. These 3 Jokers are up against a big foe in this storyline on Earth 9, facing off against an evil tyrant Superman. So yes, these versions of the Joker are actively seeking out evil and fighting against it. Although it doesn't turn out so well when the tyrant Superman ends up torturing and eventually killing Mary. Christie's whereabouts remain unknown and Lori's in prison for 10 years. When she gets out, she decides not to take up the Joker costume again and instead continues under the identity of Manhunter. But for that brief period, the world was introduced to one of the most unique, heroic alternate versions of Joker on our list, and we're better off for it. At number 6, we go to Earth 3. First appearing in countdown number 32, Jackie, a struggling stand-up comedian, eventually assumes the title of the Jokester and becomes known as something of a hero to Gotham. Much like other versions of Joker, Jackie has been bullied his whole life and is getting sick of it. So when Jackie witnesses Owlman kill the owner of the Last Laugh comedy club, he decides enough is enough. With Harley Quinn as his manager, he changes his act to focus on ridiculing Owlman. By doing this, he becomes a kind of hero to Gotham, which had also become kind of tired of Owlman's tyranny. But only when Harley Quinn is killed and Jackie's mouth is sliced open in the classic Joker way, he assumes the identity of the Jokester. Jackie, aka the Jokester, although having lost all of his sanity, still dedicates his life to ridiculing and humiliating Owlman. Owlman is a pretty brutish vigilante assuming a role on Earth 3 as a supervillain, so the Jokester's efforts are absolutely known as being heroic. And that's why he belongs on our list. Okay, number 5. This is a weird one. In this storyline, a version of Joker is set out to kill an evil version of Batman, who was created by an evil Joker in a big battle, but that's not the Joker we're talking about. In this unorthodox story of good versus evil, this evil Batman, known as the Bruce, basically has this religious event called the Night of Blood, where he challenges anyone to try and kill him to take on the new role of Batman. And a guy named Joe Collins, who's the leader of a resistance against the Bruce, is brainwashed and becomes the new Joker. Stay with me. So this version of the Joker is heroic because he wants to take down the evil Batman. But what really brings home the heroic aspect to this version of Joker is when he finds Bruce Wayne's Batman costume and sets out, dressed as Batman, to defeat evil Batman. So it becomes Batman under the influence of an evil Joker facing off against a good Joker posing as Batman. I told you it was strange. Number 4, we've got the Joker from Superman Distant Fires. In this universe, a nuclear holocaust has killed off most of the population of Earth, killing many superheroes and supervillains, leaving any survivors without superpowers. One of the sole survivors is Clark Kent, who eventually finds a jungle refuge where a few others have survived, including Wonder Woman, a one-legged Flash, and Joker. What's interesting about this version of the Joker is that the nuclear holocaust was so devastating that it rendered him sane. That and the fact that he'd gone years without Bruce Wayne as his nemesis after Bruce was killed in the nuclear event. I guess in a universe without any good, the evil finds a way to balance itself out. Either way, I think this storyline gets the point across. A nuclear holocaust would be so bad that it would turn Joker good. So let's avoid that. At number 3, we have the Joker from Batman R.I.P. This Joker is not quite as cut and dry heroic as the others so far on this list, but he definitely deserves a spot on the list nonetheless. With the threat of criminal organization the Black Glove looming, the Joker and Batman have a private meeting where the Joker actually warns Batman of the Black Glove's intentions of killing Wayne. What makes this Joker heroic isn't that he's no longer a threat to Batman, but instead that he finds himself with a common enemy to Bruce Wayne. When a member of the Black Glove approaches the Joker to join them, he decides to kill them instead. And not only this, but he places a bet in that moment that Batman will actually rise up and destroy the criminal organization. Although after this, Joker is sort of back to his usual shenanigans as a side threat in this storyline. But for that time being, he was actually helping Batman. Alright, we're almost there. At number 2, we've got another one of these situations where Batman and Joker find themselves with a common enemy, the Batman who laughs. Sort of a self-explanatory name, really. This evil version of Batman, sort of a Batman-Joker hybrid, comes from the Dark Multiverse and appears in Dark Knight's Metal. When this evil Batman comes from another dimension, he brings with him the philosophy that Batman's approach is too soft and won't be enough to stop crime altogether. So what does he do? Yep, he gets carried away and kills people, which is something Batman can't stand for, of course. But with this Batman who laughs being so unpredictable and volatile, he's proving to be a worthy foe to Batman, who has to approach the Joker for help in taking him down. The Joker's help proves to be worthwhile because since his own actions are equally unpredictable and volatile, he's also able to successfully take down the Batman who laughs, solidifying heroic status, at least for that moment in time. Once again, I'm pretty sure the next day he woke up and chose violence against Gotham again, but but that's just him, right? Unpredictable. Okay, finally number 1. The spot at the top of our list goes to the Joker from White Knight. Known as Jack Napier in this storyline, this version of the Joker belongs at the top of our list because he has fully gained sanity and reformed into a functioning part of society. What caused this is suggested to have been a controversial run-in with Batman, who beats the Joker up so badly that witnesses start to think Batman might have gone too far. On top of beating him up, he also force feeds him a full bottle of pills that the Joker had pulled out himself. Gotham becomes divided on whether or not Batman had acted out of character, and after Jack Napier recovers from his injuries, his intellect is at an all-time high, and it appears as though he's completely changed for the better, possibly because of the pills. Jack even goes as far as giving a heroic speech saying Gotham deserves more than the Joker, and makes moves to actually indict the Gotham police force for conspiring with Batman, someone Jack now sees as a threat to functioning society. Whether you think the Joker deserves redemption or not, this interpretation of the Joker is the biggest departure from the original villainous Joker that we normally see. His clean look, his reputable character, takes the character and ultimately does a great job of making us stop and think what it is that makes the original Joker what he is.
How does the Joker convince so many people to follow him? Welcome back, Nerd Squad. It's me, Amanda. For a man who is almost completely devoid of any moral compass and is also known for his chaotic and reckless acts and behavior, I'm surprised so many people are willing to even follow the Joker. Number 10, Jokerfish. Fortunately, this one is not a person. I feel like Jokerfish should actually maybe be above our next spot on this list, but we're going to stick to this placement, I think, because it feels weird having these fish higher up on the list, especially considering how ridiculous yet memorable they are in the comics. Jokerfish are mutated fish made to look like the Joker that were to be used in one of his schemes. His plan was basically to copyright his image and protect his weird investment in a line of fish that resembled him, basically wanting to make fish part of his brand, so he wanted to copyright the fish. However, it's not possible to copyright fish, so this didn't work out. The fish are somewhat more menacing than usual fish, and at one point we also see Joker sharks appear in the comics, which are quite literally horrifying. And friends, before we move on to our next spot, if you are loving what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, please go check out our newest channel, Most Amazing Top 10 Anime. Number 9, Gaggy. Gaggy was initially known for being one of the most entertaining henchmen of the Jokers. At least that's what he, once prided himself for being. He didn't have any particular superpowers, but was known for his comedy and his acting skills, mainly using them to cheer up his boss as needed. Gaggy's full name is apparently Gagsworth A. Gagsworthy. Although we haven't seen him for some time in the comics, he did make a surprise appearance not too long ago in the Three Jokers Black Label story. Of course, we still don't really know where this lies in regards to canon, I don't think. But then again, for Gaggy, it wouldn't matter that much anyways, as he does end up killed by a Jokerized shark in this issue, so even if it was canon, he would still be out of the canon again. Number 8, Harley Sin. Harley Sin is a former enemy of Harley Quinn who later turns into her ally. However, in the DC Black Label comic Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, Sin is back to being enemy to Quinn when she decides to join forces with the Joker, Harley Quinn's ex, and now kind of sworn enemy. Harley Quinn has a plan to get back at the Joker by basically emptying his vault, and Sin is attempting to help him later get Quinn back for this, as well as just aid him in general criminal criminal schemes and murderous behavior. Harley Quinn here acts as his new girlfriend, who he treats often like his lapdog or like a minor hench. While she is deadly, she's also depicted as being weaker of will and more frazzled at times in this series, which is why we're ranking her a little lower in regards to this Black Label depiction of her. She also gets her butt whooped pretty hard by Quinn in the end here, so yeah. Number 7. Mr. Hammer. Mr. Hammer is one of the named henchmen who belongs to Joker in the video game Arkhamverse. Mr. Hammer initially was raised in a circus. There he performed alongside his brother, as the two of them were conjoined twins. In fact, they were put into the circus to be raised there by their own father, who actually couldn't bring himself to keep them after his wife had died during the process of them being born. After Joker acquired the twins, he decided he should separate them. He got a master surgeon to do this, and both Hammer and his brother Sickle survived the operation. However, only Hammer was drafted to join the Joker, as he didn't really want both of them. And Sickle was going to be killed by Harley Quinn, but instead, she decided to leave him on Penguin's doorstep, who ultimately did recruit him. Hammer doesn't have superpowers and has only one arm, but is considered to be quite strong nonetheless, so definitely not someone you want to mess with. He also looks like super jacked. Number 6. Crime Syndicate Inc. Not that Crime Syndicate from Earth 3, we're talking about the Crime Syndicate of Earth 2, from back in the Joker's Golden Age days. While technically now a different Joker in a different world, back then this was the main continuity. As early as Batman issue number 2, the Joker was going up against Batman and Robin with pals in tow, and this time around they actually went to him to make him their leader instead of him, seeking out accomplices in crime himself. This group, Crime Syndicate Inc., was actually known for being a successful team of criminals, and as their own chief had died, they're basically looking for fresh leadership when they learned the Joker had been captured and was in the hospital. They set out to free him and then made him their leader, also helping him to heal up. Basically, they were like, if we make Joker our leader, he's really smart, he can help us, rob a bunch of people blind, it'll be great. As their leader, the Joker successfully helped them rob a bunch of jewels, but eventually cut them loose to strike out on his own. And in fact, if he'd stayed with them, he probably wouldn't have been caught, at least not yet. That's how good they were at what they did. Number 5. Clayface. Although in the comics, Clayface tends to be vehemently against the Joker in most cases, in the Arkhamverse video games, he's actually acted as an ally to Batman's nemesis before. Clayface is such an interesting character. I feel like there is so much to him in terms of all the different ways he can be written, presented, and utilized in a narrative. In the case of the Arkhamverse version of the character, he's hired by the Joker. While initially wary of joining forces with him, he does eventually decide to aid the Joker in his master plan in Arkham City. It's even possible in the game that Clayface is using his shapeshifting abilities to act as the Joker's double at times, with clues such as the Joker not appearing to have a skeleton in detective mode, and referring to the Dark Knight as Batman in the game as opposed to the more commonly preferred the Bat or Bats, that point towards Clayface's potential impersonation of his boss. Number 4. Harley Quinn. One of my all-time favorites when it comes to Joker's henchmen, and someone who became wise enough to get out before she ended up dead. Harleen Quinzel is generally painted as having an origin linked to Joker. In her Black Label series Harleen, we get a version of her origin story where Joker, choosing not to shoot her, pretty much changes her life, causing her to become obsessed with him. She becomes his therapist, and eventually her infatuation with the Joker leads her to adopting the persona of Harley Quinn, being reborn as his partner and leaving her old life behind. Harley is known for being a force to be reckoned with in the comics. She is extremely athletic, a former gymnast, an acrobat, and is also known for her brilliant mind as well, which in many cases can make her even more deadly to cross paths against. I know I wouldn't want to go up against Harley Quinn. Number 3. Punchline. Ooh, people are gonna give me flack for this, I already know, because I put Punchline above Harley, but let me explain. Punchline also has to be one of my personal favorites when it comes to the henches of Joker, and no, I don't think we have to choose between Punchline and Harley Quinn. They're both great characters, let's take both of them, I say. Although I initially was very skeptical when Punchline first appeared in the comics, I have to admit that Alexis has grown on me over time, and now, I gotta say, I'm a fan. Her name is Alexis K, and she was a college student who began to lose faith in a world that she felt was basically coming down around her and just falling apart, which, to be honest, Alexis, fair, I see that. After being held at gunpoint by the Joker, Alexis thought that his crimes actually served a greater purpose, and was inspired to find him and join him. She began to use poison to kill people in order to get his interest, and it worked. She adopted a new look and persona going by Punchline and decided to join him. Despite being new, Punchline does manage to, well, pack a punch when it comes to her power level. In her first fight against Catwoman and Harley Quinn, she manages to best them both, getting Harley alone and then slicing her throat with one of her sharp daggers. Harley does recover and ends up in a rematch with Punchline, where they are shown to be a little bit more evenly matched. But considering that this is Punchline's starting point as a character, I think she ultimately has even more potential than Harley does. And I say that respectfully, as I'm like a huge Harley Quinn fan, so I love Harley Quinn. It's no disrespect to her. Personally, I would love to see Punchline join up with Harley Quinn when she gets a little bit more wise to the fact that, you know, the Joker perhaps isn't as great or smart as she thinks he is, which she's a little bit younger than Harley, so I think she's gonna wise up to that at some point, and then hopefully they can team up together, because that would be awesome. Number 2, Deadshot. Though Deadshot has had some surprisingly intimate connections to Harley Quinn during their time together on the Suicide Squad, he's also been connected to the Joker as well. And I don't just mean during the time when Harley forced him to wear the Joker's face, which was a thing that happened. I mean, he worked for the guy. This all went down during the War of Jokes and Riddles. What was he promised in exchange for joining the Joker side of the war? The opportunity to kill the Bat. However, while Deadshot was sent on a mission to work for the Joker, he also ran into Riddler's deadliest assassin draft, Deathstroke. Instead of focusing on his mission, Deadshot ended up distracted and instead got focused on beating Deathstroke, with the two breaking out into a fight with one another. Their fight was an epic one too, and it actually lasted 5 days. 5 whole days before Batman came in and put an end to it. I don't know about you, but I feel like fighting for an hour would be exhausting. Never mind fighting for 5 days. It's a long time. Number 1, Deathstroke. Deathstroke isn't someone you normally think of when you think Joker henchman. But did you know that he has actually been employed by the Joker before to take on Batman? It is true. While he may have fought against Joker during a war of jokes and riddles, allying himself with the Riddler in hopes of winning the privilege of killing Batman, a similar boon that he has offered a pardon as well as heaps of money during the Joker War. While we initially are led to believe that the designer is the one calling the shots, it's later revealed in Batman Secret Files issue number 3 that Deathstroke is working for both the Joker and the designer in actuality. Deathstroke is known for being one of the most deadly people in the DC universe. He's a master assassin with the healing factor and is also known for his advanced brain, being a tactical genius who can learn things just basically from watching or seeing them once, who also possesses a genius level intellect. So yeah, Deathstroke's pretty OP, I gotta say.
In at 10, Hyena. Hyena, first introduced in Legends of the Dark Claw number 1 from 1996, is a combination of DC's The Joker and Marvel's Sabretooth. He is the archenemy of Darkclaw, a combination of DC's Batman and Marvel's Wolverine. His real name is Creed Harley Quinn. The Canadian government initiated the Weapon X project. Logan and Quinn of the RCAF were both accepted as candidates for the project, along with 4 other volunteers. Logan's latent metamutant healing factor kicks in, which allows him to survive the adamantium crafting process, and Creed survives as well, but becomes a remorseless killing machine, exactly what the project was hoping for. Creed's sanity does not fare as well, and he eventually goes rogue, because of course he's going to. And Indestructible, known as Adamantium, was also bonded to Creed's skeleton as well as Logan's, and he was given claws made of the same substance. Unlike Darkclaw, however, Creed was physically deformed as a result of the experiment and went insane. Project X also triggered metamutant abilities in Creed, who became known as Hyena. Hyena, also known as the Cackling Canine, will not stop his maniacal grinning until his arch-nemesis Darkclaw is destroyed. He also has a gang called the Pack, which is actually kinda cute, but still terrifying. In at 9, Martha Wayne. When Barry Allen altered the timeline so that his mother lived, a lot changed, along with Martha Wayne. She had initially been the mother to Bruce Wayne, who would have become Batman when she was killed in the alleyway by Joe Chill, but Barry's mom surviving somehow resulted in her and her husband, Thomas Wayne, surviving Joe Chill's fateful ambush, but their son dying as a result. Butterfly effect, I guess. This ultimately broke her, driving her completely insane from grief and having her adopt the identity of the Joker, as well as committing various crimes in Gotham, also resulting in Thomas becoming a vigilante known as Batman in an attempt to stop her. By the time of the Flashpoint saga, she had kidnapped the twin sons of Harvey Dent without leaving a ransom note, and then, at her hideout in Wayne Manor, manipulated Commissioner Gordon into shooting the daughter by dressing her up in a Joker outfit, and then murdered the Commissioner. Eventually, Batman arrived, and she had proceeded to bludgeon her former husband with a hammer, an action that Batman willingly endured for a chance at getting a glimpse of the remaining psyche of his former wife. Ultimately, he managed to temporarily get through to her and revealed that they may have a chance of actually undoing the events that happened, although it may result in her deaths. She accepted though, because she wanted her son to live, but apparently not become Batman. And at 8, Suicide Squad. The Joker is an infamously extreme and formidable psychopathic crime lord in Gotham City in this movie, being at the very top of the city's criminal underworld, greatly feared by all those other crime bosses and criminals. Though he is devoid of empathy or pity for anybody taking part in his wicked schemes, either by intimidation or fraud, the Joker used to adore his on-again, off-again girlfriend and partner in crime Harley Quinn, doing his utmost to rescue her from Task Force X and the clutches of Amanda Waller, with eventual success. I mean, like, he was in the movie for like 5 minutes total, but like, it's better than nothing, right? For unknown reasons though, he later broke up with Harley, leaving her on her own and the target of many of his enemies. This version from the DCEU was certainly a darker and more brutal Joker than what we've been seeing in the comics now, not relying on Batman and being more willing to kill like he was in the golden age of comics, much along the lines of the 3 Joker revelation from the Mobius chair, since this version also killed Robin in the DCEU prior to the events of the movie. However, some also believe that the Joker is a mentally unstable version of Robin, which could be revealed to be true, but I don't know if they're actually going to reveal it and just let it be a theory. And yes, I was doing this to show the mask multiple times. And at 7, Emperor Joker. Emperor Joker was the form the Joker took after tricking Mr. Mxyzptlk into donating 99.99% of his powers to the Joker. He gave him 99.99% of his powers accidentally. As a direct result, he became near omnipotent and created a hellish world in his own image. At some point, the imp from the 5th dimension, Mr. Mxyzptlk, attempted to see what a member of the regular realm would do with his power and selected the Joker. He intended on only donating 1% of his power to the Joker, but the Mad Clown tricked him into revealing his true name and thus ended up gaining 99.99% of the powers, and proceeded to transform existence within 69 seconds. Nice. Into a realm made in his own image, which was a twisted caricature, and with everyone stuck in a loop. Emperor Joker continually tortured and killed Batman every single day, only to bring him back to life and do it all over again. As could be expected, Emperor Joker took pride in these particular killings due to the unique relationship the 2 characters continued to share. Although this relationship is also the Joker's undoing, since he was still defined by being the Batman's antagonist, and he was beaten by a dog of all things. Okay, well, it was Superman as a dog, but still. Joker with near absolute power? No thanks. And at 6, Batman Two-Faces. Batman Two-Faces is the DC equivalent to the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde story, where ironically, Harvey Dent, also known as Two-Face, isn't the one with the Hyde affliction, but rather Batman himself is. It's the year 1886. Bruce Wayne is organizing a gala to exhibit the Twilight Orchid, a rare flower with unique characteristics. During the day, the flower is exquisitely colored and perfumed and attracts a large amount of insects. At night, however, it turns into a weed, attracting only pests. I know a few people like that. Miss Pamela Isley, Bruce Wayne, Commissioner Gordon, and many of Gotham's finest attend the gala where Two-Face storms in and steals the flower. Bruce reveals that he had hoped to actually create a potion derived from the flower, which was retrieved from Miss Isley's dead hands. A potion which would cure Two-Face from his dual personality. Finalizing the potion, Bruce tests it on himself. He suddenly develops superhuman strength, agility, and a new sense of courage and purpose. He puts together a costume and sets off to battle crime on Two-Face's terms. However, this potion didn't only give him powers, it gave him another personality. The personality of the Joker. Yeah, that's right. In Batman Two-Faces, Bruce Wayne is the Joker, which is pretty frightening for sure. Halfway through into number 5, Batman Bloodstorm. At one point, Gotham City was attacked by a group of vampires led by Dracula. However, the vampires were defeated by Batman, who would become part vampire in the struggle. The Joker later lured the surviving vampires out of their underground lair and convinced them to allow him to be their new leader. The vampires accepted, and the Joker appointed a vampire named Creech to be his second in command. The Joker and his new gang then set out to conquer Gotham's underworld. Their first target was Cardona. The vampires ambushed Cardona and his thugs at their hideout, drank their blood, and transformed them into Night Stalkers like themselves. But yeah, you heard that right. The Joker of Earth 43 is Batman's archenemy, and a non-vampire leading a pack of vampires through fear. The ability to lead a group of vampires through fear is absolutely nuts, because like in every incarnation, vampires aren't really afraid of anything, aside from maybe other vampires or like steaks. Like nice medium steaks. That was a bad joke. You know what I mean, right? Like, this is, how crazy is this version of the Joker to try to do that? I don't know. Like, holy damn. Or I guess unholy damn. Let's go on. And at 4, Dark Knight Returns. Like most incarnations, this Joker is a psychopathic mass murderer who is Batman's archenemy. Following Batman's retirement though, he gets confined to Arkham Asylum and falls into a catatonic state. But when Batman returns 10 years later, he comes back as well for a final showdown with the Dark Knight. It's unknown how he knows that he's back, but he just wakes up. The final showdown between the two ends in the Tunnel of Love, in which Joker hysterically stabs Batman in the stomach several times. But mid-stab, Batman instinctively breaks the Joker's neck just enough to paralyze him, but not kill him. Joker encourages Batman to finish him off, but Batman won't do it. So the Joker then finally says, "See you in hell," before, in a last act of revenge against his enemy, twists his own neck just far enough to kill himself, and framing his enemy for his own murder. Isn't that wonderful? That's freaking nuts. Who snaps their own neck to frame a guy? Okay? This is one of the freakiest scenes in all of comics. Like, what the living hell? And at 3, A Serious House. In the world of Arkham Asylum, a serious house on a serious Earth, the inmates of Arkham Asylum have taken over and seized control of the staff. They're willing to release the hostages, but only if their one demand is met. Batman must be turned over to them and become one of their own. Commissioner Gordon informs Batman that the patients of Arkham Asylum have taken over the building and will kill the staff unless Batman agrees to meet with them, and the patients are of course led by the Joker, who kills a guard to spur Batman to obey his wishes. Two-Face meanwhile has degenerated even further into madness, and Batman is forced into a game of hide and seek, and told he has 1 hour to make his way through the maze-like corridors of Arkham and find a way out before his old foes are sent after him. Yep, yeah. The fact that Joker is just leading a whole gang of prisoners who have taken over Arkham is absolutely insane, and then the art style of this comic makes it one of the freakiest depictions of the Joker to date. Like, you've been seeing it, it's nuts. Penultimately, in at number 2, The Batman Who Laughs. The story of Batman of Earth 22 was not much different from that of any other version of the Caped Crusader. When he was a boy, Bruce Wayne watched his parents get murdered in an alley, vowing vengeance against crime. So he trained for years and became the hero Batman, fighting supervillains in Gotham City. Everything went sideways though when Joker started a killing spree across Gotham. The clown had discovered that he was dying from the same chemicals that had turned him into what he was, and wanted to make everyone die with him. He killed all of Batman's enemies, including the Penguin, Catwoman, Killer Croc, the Ventriloquist, a lot. Joker also killed Commissioner Gordon, who accidentally sprung an acid trap on his notebook and it melted his face off. After bombing a hospital and recreating the scene of Bruce's parents' killing in front of him multiple times, Batman lost control and broke the Joker's neck. Unbeknownst to Batman though, the Joker exhaled a toxin contained in his heart, which infected anyone close to him if he died. In this case, it was Batman. This caused him to snap and basically become the new Joker, taking over Earth 32 and later on, gaining cosmic power. Yeah, cosmic power. Joker. But also Batman. No thanks. And finally, in at number 1, Death of the Family. When the Joker became obsessed over destroying the Bat family, he decided to arrange for his face to be surgically removed. According to the Joker, he did this to symbolize that even without his mask, he was still the Joker, whereas Batman, Robin, and Batgirl's identities were only mask deep. To see this through, Joker arranged for the serial killer known as the Dollmaker to remove his face surgically in Arkham Asylum. The Dollmaker sent his, son to do the procedure though, only for the Joker to kill him by tearing out his throat with his teeth. Dollmaker later went on to actually remove his face since Joker refused to do it any other way, but the two actually arranged to celebrate his rebirth before leaving the clown's face on the cell wall for Batman to find. Joker would later use straps, clips, and pins to retrofit the flesh back onto his face in a form of mask, which he wore over his now exposed tendons, hiding the way he looked, because honestly that might have been a little too much. Joker would also remain in this mask for the remainder of his plan to destroy the Bat family, a mission which ended in a dinner party in the Batcave. And I think it's fairly obvious why this is number 1. Even without cosmic power, a man getting his face removed only to turn it into a mask to wear it again? No thank you. Not to mention that this is also the face that Joker's daughter ends up wearing, I'm pretty sure. So, no.
Number 10. the Teen Titans. In a Titans East special, the Joker teams up with Bizarro to help him kidnap a famous singer. When the Teen Titans show up to save her, the Joker sends Bizarro after Starfire, Cyborg, and Wonder Girl, while he stays and holds the hostage at gunpoint, leaving only Kid Flash, Robin, and Raven to face him. Should be an easy win still, but Kid Flash is able to snatch the Joker's gun away along with the hostage, but the gun is actually a bomb, which goes off, incapacitating Kid Flash. Raven then makes the Joker's worst nightmares appear before him in his mind, which is actually useless when it turns out that he actually finds his nightmares to be funny. Once the Titans are able to use blue kryptonite to cripple Bizarro though, the entire team is able to focus on the Joker. For a moment there, he showed how he could have pretty easily won that encounter. Number 9. Brave and the Bold. Seeing how the Joker has no powers of any kind other than his insanity and a knack for causing chaos, he seems to be able to go after and defeat some pretty impressive people. In an episode of the cartoon show The Brave and the Bold, the Joker decides to go after none other than Wonder Woman and her home of Themyscira. He disguises himself as an Amazon warrior and participates in gladiatorial games and contests in front of the Queen and the Princess. He kind of impossibly defeats the rest of the competitors with his knockout gas before approaching Diana herself. After a scuffle involving rubber chickens, comically large bugs, and playing cards ensues, Joker is actually able to somehow knock out Wonder Woman with gas from his flower. Number 8. Jeepers Creepers. Joker and the Creeper, who is a very unknown and pretty strange Gotham-based hero, come to blows in 1975's Joker number 3. When the Joker frames Jack Ryder for a robbery, the Creeper hunts the clown down and tries to confront him. After a series of body blows, he knocks the clown to the ground, seemingly defeated. But of course, in a very Joker-esque moment, his coattails shoot out as a projectile and knock the Creeper off guard, allowing the Joker to gain the upper hand and choke the Creeper into unconsciousness. Now, the Creeper has superhuman strength and agility, so it's pretty embarrassing to get knocked out by a regular human lunatic, I'd say. Hello there, nerds. Just wanna quickly pause here to say thanks for watching. Your support and affection really helps us to continue to pump out videos for you guys to enjoy. Keep up the likes and subscribes. Number 7. Batman White Knight. Speaking of making Batman look bad, in Batman White Knight, Joker actually becomes the hero. Sort of. Joker is cured of his mental illness in a violent forced ingestion of a drug by Batman, which causes doubt in Batman within the minds of the public. Joker then goes on a mission to basically prove that Batman is addicted to violence. Instead of his usual mad and murderous ways though, Joker instead becomes a city official and fights against vigilante justice. His methods are still pretty sinister, but he really gets close to showing just how messed up Bruce is. And the embarrassment of this ultimately leads to Bruce wanting to change his ways. Number 6. Death of the Family. This isn't the death in the family story that sees Joker killing Jason Todd, but the death of the family story actually ends up seeing Joker going after every member of the Batman's family, threatening to take them all out. Spoiler warning, I'm about to reveal the ending of the story, so if you want to read it, which you should, skip to the next segment. Okay, ready? So basically, after kidnapping the whole Bat family, Joker sits them all at a dinner table and reveals that their meals are actually the cut off skin from their faces. Jeez! Don't worry, after he severely emotionally cripples Batman by this action, it's all just a big game. Number 5. A little extra twist. The Dark Knight Returns is an incredible story that is set in the future where the Joker, who is bored out of his mind, and an old retired Batman who no longer wants to play Joker's games. Cornering one another in a tunnel of love, Batman loses control and snaps Joker's neck, paralyzing him but importantly, not killing him. Joker is rather put out about this though, and seeing an opportunity to completely ruin the Dark Knight's reputation, Joker uses the last bit of his strength to jerk his body enough to crack his own neck, killing himself so that the Gotham public will think that Batman murdered him in cold blood, which actually works and leads to another famous battle between Batman and Superman. Joker's really good at making Batman look bad. Number 4. Joker War. In Joker War, the Joker has managed to not only take Bruce Wayne's weapons and technology, but even all of his wealth. And he took over Gotham with even the support of the city. That all on its own should be embarrassing enough to make this list. But then you add the fact that he actually stole and wore a bat suit, and not just any old suit either. This one was supposed to eventually symbolize a Batman that had become the White Knight of Gotham. Joker took this suit and Jokerfied it, completely turning the entire point of the suit on its head. Number 3, defeating Aquaman underwater. Did you know that even underwater, Aquaman was defeated by the Joker? Not one-on-one, mind you, but it's the Joker. That isn't really his forte anyways. In Legends of the DC Universe number 26 and number 27, Joker heads to Atlantis to get away from Batman. Even though Aquaman knows what Joker is up to, the Joker is still able to convince the people of Atlantis that he is the king of the surface world and that he can help them with finding a cure for the infected fish that they have. He even manages to get a scientist to fall in love with him. Even his own people didn't believe in Aquaman. Yikes. Number 2, the Batman who laughs. Even when Batman wins, he loses. In an alternate universe where Batman kills the Joker gets the final laugh when a toxin is released that turns Batman into an evil Joker version of himself. All of the insanity of the Joker matched up with all the intelligence of Bruce Wayne. The Batman who laughs becomes a huge threat to the entire DC universe. He has a bunch of hound-like evil Joker toxin Robins on chains too. He is absolutely nuts. It's just so fitting that when Batman is actually pushed to the point of finally killing the Joker pulls one last joke where he still wins. Number 1, Emperor Joker. In the Emperor Joker storyline, the Joker ends up stealing the multi-dimensional powers of the Superman villain Mr. Mxyzptlk, and he basically becomes a trickster god, creating a world where heroes and villains switch roles, where he constantly kills Batman over and over and over again. He makes Flash obese and slow, and he even eats China. Yeah, it's true. The sheer amount of power he wields even gets Darkseid to back down without a fight even taking place. Just a few threatening phrases, that he'd make an excellent lawn jockey for Joker's secret hideout, or that he'd make a great hood ornament. That, plus a show of power, and Darkseid was like, nah, I'm good. Joker put all the heroes to shame. The only way he could lose was for the universe to end up being destroyed.